Dr. Hana Kim sat in the quiet waiting room of the New Seoul Medical Center. At 72 years old, her silver hair was neatly pinned back, and her hands rested carefully on her lap. She had been in this building thousands of times before, but always wearing a white coat with her name badge. Today she was a patient. The door opened and Dr. Jin Park entered with a tablet in hand. His face remained professional, but Hana knew him well enough to see the excitement in his eyes. "The results are ready, Dr. Kim," he said, taking a seat across from her. Hana took a deep breath. "Tell me." "It worked," Jin said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The fertility treatment was successful. You're pregnant." Hana's hand moved to her mouth. After 50 years as a medical researcher, she had become part of her own breakthrough. The cellular regeneration therapy she had helped develop had actually worked. "Are you certain?" she asked. Jin turned the tablet toward her, showing the test results. "Completely certain. You'll be the first woman over 70 to give birth since the Great Collapse." The Great Collapse of 2078 had changed everything. Environmental disasters had led to widespread fertility problems across the globe. The human population had been declining for 9 years now. People were living longer, often to 150 or more, but fewer babies were being born each year. "I need to tell Tai," Hana said. Jin nodded. "He's waiting outside. Should I bring him in?" "Please." When Tae Kim walked in, Hana felt a rush of love for her husband of 50 years. At 78, he still stood tall, though his steps were slower now. His kind eyes found hers immediately. "What did they say?" he asked. Hana reached for his hand. "The treatment worked, Tae. I'm pregnant." Tae sank into the chair next to her, his eyes filling with tears. After all these years, they had never had children. Their careers had always come first, hers in medicine, his in quantum engineering. By the time they decided they were ready, they had been too old. Then the Great Collapse happened, and having children seemed impossible for everyone. "We're going to be parents," Hana said, the words feeling strange in her mouth. Jin cleared his throat. "We'll need to monitor you very carefully, Dr. Kim. This is still experimental medicine. You'll need to come in weekly for checkups." "Of course," Hana said. After all, she had helped design the treatment protocols herself. That evening, they sat in their apartment high above New Seoul. The city lights glowed blue and green against the night sky. Tae poured tea for both of them, his hand steady despite the day's shock. "Are you scared?" he asked. Hana considered the question. "Yes, but also hopeful. What about you?" Tae looked out at the city. "I keep thinking about what kind of world our child will live in." It was a fair concern. Earth was slowly recovering from the collapse, but things were different now. The old nations had been replaced by unified regions. Resources were carefully managed. Everyone lived under the watchful eye of AI systems that prevented further environmental damage. "It will be a better world than the one we grew up in," Hana said. "Cleaner, more fair. And the stars are closer now," Tae added. He had spent his career working on quantum communications that had finally made contact with others in the galaxy. The Galactic Federation had been observing Earth for decades before finally making contact 5 years ago. Their apartment computer chimed, indicating an incoming call. Hana pressed a button on the table, and a hologram appeared in their living room. "Dr. Kim, Mr. Kim." It was Director Sun from the Medical Research Center. "I've just heard the news. Congratulations." "Thank you, Director," Hana said. "I hope you understand that this will need to be announced publicly," Director Sun continued. "Your case represents a major breakthrough." Hana nodded. She had expected this. "I understand. The announcement will go out tomorrow morning. Please be prepared for media attention." After the call ended, Tae took Hana's hand. "Are you ready for that? Being in the public eye?" "If it gives people hope, then yes," she said. "This isn't just about us having a baby. It's about showing that humans can adapt and survive." Tae nodded. "Our child will be special." That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She stood by the window looking out at the city. She thought about the child growing inside her. A medical miracle. At her age, pregnancy should have been impossible. Yet here she was, about to become a mother for the first time at 72. The next morning, their apartment computer woke them with the day's news. Their story was already the top headline. 72-year-old pioneer becomes first elderly woman to conceive since collapse. Messages began coming in from colleagues and friends. By midday, there were reporters outside their building. Dr. Kim, how do you feel about making medical history? Mr. Kim, what's it like becoming a father at 78? Hana and Tae decided to give one short statement. They stood together at the entrance to their building, facing the cameras. My husband and I are grateful that the treatment was successful, Hana said. As a medical researcher, I believe this represents hope for our future. Human fertility has been declining since the collapse, but this shows we can find solutions. Tae stepped forward. We look forward to raising our child in a world that is healing. Thank you for respecting our privacy during this time. They quickly went back inside, avoiding further questions. Later that week, Hana had her first full checkup. The medical center had assigned their best doctors to her case. Dr. Min Lee, the head of maternal care, performed the ultrasound herself. Everything looks healthy so far, Dr. Lee said, pointing to the small shape on the screen. The fetal development is normal. Hana stared at the image, amazed. That's our baby, Tae. Tae squeezed her hand. His eyes never left the screen. As they were leaving the medical center, a tall woman in a silver uniform approached them. Hana recognized her immediately. Ambassador Lee from the Federation Contact Office. Dr. and Mr. Kim, the ambassador said with a slight bow. The Federation has expressed interest in your case. Tae stiffened beside her. What kind of interest? Nothing to worry about, Ambassador Lee assured them. They find human adaptability fascinating. The Federation representatives have requested a meeting with you, if you're willing. Hana looked at Tae. They had both worked with Federation representatives before, Hana sharing medical knowledge, Tae discussing his quantum communication breakthroughs. We would be happy to meet with them, Hana said. That night, as they prepared for bed, Tae seemed quiet and thoughtful. What are you thinking about? Hana asked. The future, he said. Our baby will grow up in a world with alien contact, with technology we couldn't have imagined when we were young. That's true, Hana said, but children always grow up in worlds, different from their parents. Tae placed his hand gently on her stomach, though there was no visible change yet. Our child will see things we never dreamed of. Hana covered his hand with hers, and will do things we never thought possible. As she drifted off to sleep, Hana thought about the long path that had brought her here. Decades of research, the heartbreak of the collapse, and now this unexpected miracle. Whatever came next, she knew that her baby represented something humanity desperately needed. Hope. The news about Hana Kim's pregnancy spread quickly. By morning, every screen in New Seoul showed her face. People talked about nothing else. In coffee shops, on trains, and in offices, everyone had an opinion. I heard she used her own research to get pregnant, a young woman said to her friend as they waited for the mag train. At her age? It's not natural, the friend replied. This conversation was happening everywhere. Some people called Hana a hero. Others worried that science had gone too far. Hana tried to ignore the attention. She continued her work at the research center, reviewing data on other patients receiving fertility treatments, but it was hard to focus with everyone staring at her. You don't need to be here, her colleague Dr. Soo-yoon told her. You could work from home? And hide? Hana shook her head. No. People need to see that this is normal. That life goes on. Tae faced similar attention at the quantum engineering lab where he still worked as a consultant. Younger colleagues suddenly treated him differently. Some asked personal questions, others kept their distance as if pregnancy was catching. How does it feel knowing you'll be over 90 when your child graduates school? One young engineer asked. During lunch. With modern medicine, I'll still be in my prime, Tay answered calmly. People live to 150 now. My child will have parents longer than yours did. The media wanted interviews. Talk shows sent daily requests. News drones sometimes hovered near their apartment windows until security shooed them away. Hana agreed to one official interview with the global news network. She sat beside Tay in their living room while a reporter asked questions. Many people are calling your pregnancy a miracle, the reporter said. Others say it's unnatural. What do you say to that? Hana smiled. There's nothing unnatural about wanting a child. The technology that made this possible is just another tool, like the medicines that help us live longer, or the machines that clean our air. And what about those who say that people your age shouldn't have children? The reporter pressed. Tay spoke up. Age is different now than it was a century ago. At 78, I'm healthier than my grandfather was at 50. Our child will have parents who have seen the world change, who have wisdom to share. The interview was watched by over 3 billion people. After it aired, messages flooded in from around the world. Older couples wanting the same treatment, religious leaders debating the ethics, scientists requesting research partnerships. 1 month after the announcement, protesters gathered outside the medical center. They carried signs with messages like, "Respect nature's limits" and "Playing God." Their leader, a man named Byom Lee, who headed a naturalist religious group, spoke through a megaphone. "The Kim pregnancy represents humanity's arrogance," he shouted. "We suffered the Great Collapse because we thought we could control everything. Now we're making the same mistake again." Hana watched the protest from her office window. She understood their fear. The world had changed so much so quickly. People needed something to blame. "Don't let them bother you," Dr. Yoon said, bringing Hana a cup of tea. "They'll find something else to protest next week." But the protests grew. Similar groups appeared in other cities around the world. They weren't violent, but their presence was constant. Meanwhile, supportive messages came too. Hana received handwritten notes from couples who had benefited from her previous research. Elderly people sent gifts for the baby. Children sent drawings of what they thought the baby might look like. At 3 months pregnant, Hana began to show, slightly. She and Tay were having dinner at home when their security system announced a visitor. "Ambassador Mina Cho is at your door," the system said. They exchanged surprised looks. Ambassador Cho was the human liaison to the Galactic Federation. "Please let her in," Tay said. Ambassador Cho was a tall woman with perfect posture. She bowed slightly as she entered. "Dr. and Mr. Kim, thank you for seeing me without notice." "It's an honor," Hana said. "Please sit down." "I'll be direct," the ambassador said once they were seated. "The Federation representatives have requested a meeting with you tomorrow. They've been monitoring Earth's recovery efforts since the collapse, and your pregnancy has captured their specific interest." Tay leaned forward. "Why would advanced aliens care about one human pregnancy?" Ambassador Cho's expression remained neutral. "The Federation finds human biological adaptability fascinating. Most species they've encountered have strict biological limits. Humans keep finding ways around ours. Is that good or bad from their perspective?" Hana asked. "They don't think in those terms," Ambassador Cho replied. "They observe, they study, they rarely interfere." The next day, Hana and Ty arrived at the Federation Contact Center, a silver building in the government district. Security was tight. They passed through several checkpoints before reaching the meeting room. 2 Federation representatives waited inside. They were tall, with silver-gray skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Their eyes were large and dark. They wore simple, white garments that covered their slender bodies. Ambassador Cho made introductions. "Dr. Hana Kim, Mr. Tae Kim, may I present Representatives Lin and Day of the Galactic Federation." The aliens bowed in the human fashion. When they spoke, their words were translated through small devices at their throats. "Your achievement is remarkable," Representative Lin said, voice soft and musical through the translator. "Your species continues to surprise us with its resilience and adaptability." "Thank you," Hana replied, unsure what else to say. Representative Day moved closer, studying Hana with those large, dark eyes. May we scan you? It is non-invasive and harmless. Hana looked at Ambassador Cho, who nodded slightly. It's standard procedure. Their medical knowledge is far beyond ours. Very well, Hana agreed. Representative Day held up a small device that emitted a soft blue light. It passed over Hana's body without touching her. The alien studied the readings, then showed them to Representative Lin. Fascinating, Lin said. The fetus shows normal development despite the advanced age of the host body. My body has been treated with cellular regeneration therapy, Hana explained. It's as healthy as a much younger woman's. The representatives exchanged looks. Your species adapts both biologically and technologically, Day observed. Most choose one path or the other. The meeting continued for an hour. The representatives asked detailed questions about the fertility treatment, about human reproduction in general, and about how humans viewed aging. Hana answered as clearly as she could, though some questions seemed strange. Do you believe your child will be human in the same way you are human? Lin asked at one point. Hana was confused. Of course, why wouldn't it be? Evolution is rarely static, was the only reply. After the meeting, as they walked back to their transport, Tai seemed troubled. What's wrong? Hana asked. Did you notice how interested they were in you specifically? Not just the treatment, but you, Hana had noticed. Perhaps because I helped develop the treatment myself. Perhaps, Tai said, but he didn't sound convinced. The next day, footage of Hana and Tai entering the Federation Contact Center appeared on the news. The protesters outside the medical center doubled in number. Now, they're involving aliens in their unnatural experiments. Biomli shouted to the crowd, "Where will it end?" But public opinion was shifting. Many people who had been uncertain about Hana's pregnancy were now supportive after seeing the Federation's interest. If advanced aliens found it worthy of study, perhaps it truly was important. Global leaders began making statements supporting the research. The World Health Organization issued a report calling the fertility breakthrough a crucial step forward for humanity's future. One evening, as Hana and Tai watched the sun set from their apartment, she felt the baby move for the first time. It was just a flutter, but unmistakable, Tai, she whispered, taking his hand and placing it on her belly. Can you feel it? He couldn't, not yet, but his eyes filled with wonder anyway. Our miracle, he said softly. Hana looked out at the city below, where people were still arguing about her baby, and what it all meant for humanity's future. Not just our miracle, she said. Everyone's. Hana entered her 5th month of pregnancy with a mix of excitement and worry. Her body, though rejuvenated by the treatments, still felt the strain. Today was her monthly checkup at the medical center. How are you feeling? Dr. Su Yoon asked as she prepared the advanced imaging scanner. Tired, Hana admitted. But good. The baby moves a lot, especially at night. Tai sat nearby, watching closely. He rarely missed her appointments. Dr. Yoon moved the scanner over Hana's rounded belly. The 3-dimensional image of the baby appeared in the air above them. Dr. Yoon frowned slightly. Is something wrong? Hana asked, immediately concerned. Not wrong, Dr. Yoon said slowly. Just unusual. The baby's brain development is accelerated compared to our models. And some of these cellular structures, she pointed to areas highlighted in blue. I've never seen patterns quite like these before. Tai stood up and moved closer to the image. Can you enhance this section? Dr. Yoon adjusted the controls. The image zoomed in on the baby's developing brain. The neural connections are forming in complex networks, she explained. Usually we see this level of development in the 7th month, not the 5th. Hana looked at her husband. His face showed intense concentration, but not surprise. Tai, what are you thinking? We should run additional tests, he said, not directly answering her question. Dr. Yoon agreed. I'd like to take more detailed scans, and if you're comfortable, some additional blood samples. 2 days later, Hana and Tai returned to the medical center to discuss the results. Dr. Yoon had asked them to come after regular hours. They were shown to a private conference room rather than the usual examination room. Dr. Yoon was waiting. With Director Sun, their serious expressions made Hana nervous. "Please sit down," Director Sun said. Once they were seated, Dr. Yoon activated a secure display. "Your blood work showed some anomalies, so we did a full genetic analysis. The baby's DNA shows unique patterns we've never seen before in human development." "What kind of patterns?" Hana asked. "Enhanced cognitive structures for one," Dr. Yoon said, "and cellular efficiency beyond normal human ranges." But where would these enhancements come from? Hana wondered aloud. The fertility treatment shouldn't affect genetic structure. Director Sun looked at Tae. "That's what we wondered. So we analyzed both parents' DNA for comparison." He paused. "Mr. Kim, your DNA shows similar unusual patterns, though less pronounced." Tae nodded slowly, as if this confirmed something he already suspected. "Tae?" Hana turned to her husband. "What aren't you telling me?" Tae took a deep breath. "My work at the quantum engineering lab. It wasn't always just communications technology. For years I worked with experimental quantum materials that may have affected my cellular structure over time." "You never mentioned this," Hana said, feeling a mix of confusion and betrayal. "The effects were minimal in me," Tai explained. "Almost undetectable. I didn't think they would be passed on or amplified this way." Dr. Yoon brought up another image. "The baby's development is unlike anything we've documented. The neural activity suggests advanced cognitive capacity, and there are structures we simply can't identify." "Is the baby healthy?" Hana asked, focusing on what mattered most to her. "Yes," Dr. Yoon assured her. "Everything we can measure shows a healthy fetus. Just different." On the quiet ride home, Hana tried to process what she had learned. Tae stared out the window, lost in thought. "Why didn't you tell me about your exposure to these materials?" she finally asked. "The effects were classified," Tae said, "and honestly, I didn't think they were significant. Many of us who worked in the deep labs have similar subtle changes. It's just part of working with quantum technologies over decades." "But our baby..." Hana placed her hands on her stomach. "Our baby will be special," Tae said, echoing words he had said months ago. But now they carried new meaning. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She went to Tae's home office and found him working at his desk, surrounded by holographic displays showing complex equations. "What are you really working on, Tae?" she asked from the doorway. He looked up, not startled, as if he'd been expecting her. With a gesture, he closed the displays. "Come sit," he said, pointing to the chair beside him. When she did, he took her hands in his. "What I'm going to tell you has been my life's work, running parallel to the communications technology everyone knows about." "I'm listening," Hana said. 30 years ago, while working on quantum communications, I discovered something unexpected. Quantum states that shouldn't exist in our current understanding of physics. States that suggested consciousness itself might have quantum properties." Hana frowned. "What does that mean in simple terms?" "It means the human mind might be capable of more than we ever imagined. That the barrier between thought and reality might be thinner than we believe." Tae's eyes shined with excitement. "The materials I worked with seem to enhance these capabilities in subtle ways." "And you think these changes affected your DNA? That our baby has inherited them?" Tae nodded. "But amplified. The cellular regeneration therapy you received may have created the perfect environment for these traits to express themselves fully." "So what does this mean for our child?" Hana asked, one hand moving protectively to her belly. Tae's expression softened. "It means our child might bridge the gap between human and post-human evolution, between what we are and what we might become." Hana tried to comprehend the scale of what he was suggesting. "Why didn't you share this research publicly?" "Some of it I did, disguised as theoretical physics. But the implications..." Tae shook his head. "The world wasn't ready. After the collapse, people became fearful of change, of pushing boundaries. And now? Are they ready now?" "They'll have to be," Tay said, looking at her rounded belly. Our child may give them no choice. The next morning, Hana woke to find a message from Ambassador Cho requesting another meeting with the Federation representatives. They know something, Tay said when she showed him the message. Their scans must have detected the changes. Should we be worried? Hana asked. Not worried, Tay said, but prepared. This may be why they've been watching Earth so closely all these years. At the Federation Contact Center, they were shown to a different room than before. This one was larger, with strange crystal structures in the corners that hummed softly. Representatives, Lin and Day, were waiting, along with a third alien Hana hadn't seen before. This one was taller, with skin that shifted colors subtly as it moved. This is Elder Sen, Ambassador Cho introduced them. The Elder has come specifically to meet you. Elder Sen studied them silently for a long moment before speaking. The translator rendered a deep, melodious voice. We have observed your species for many cycles, waiting for signs of the emergence. The emergence? Hana repeated. The moment when a species begins to transcend its biological limitations through its own understanding, rather than external intervention, Elder Sen explained. Few species reach this point naturally. Tay stepped forward. And you believe our child represents this emergence? We believe your child may be one of the first expressions of humanity's next evolutionary step, Elder Sen said. The scans show patterns consistent with enhanced quantum neural connections. Hana felt dizzy with the implications. So this is why the Federation has been watching Earth? Partly, Elder Sen confirmed. Your species has shown remarkable adaptability. Even the collapse, which might have ended other civilizations, only redirected yours. Now with this child, you may be taking the first steps toward joining the higher tiers of galactic society. As they left the meeting, Hana held tightly to Tay's arm. This is too much, she whispered. Our baby hasn't even been born yet, and already carries so many expectations. Tay stopped walking and turned to face her. This child will be extraordinary, yes. But first and most importantly, it will be our child. Whatever comes after, we will face together. That night as they lay in bed, the baby moved strongly. Hana guided Tay's hand to feel the kicks. Boy or girl? She asked. They had decided not to find out ahead of time. Does it matter? Tay asked softly. No, Hana replied. But I'm curious what you think. Tay was quiet for a moment. A girl, he said finally. Clever and strong, with your compassion and perhaps my vision. Hana turned to look at her husband in the dim light. Your vision of what? Of what humanity could become, he answered. This child isn't just our miracle. She's the key to proving humanity's exceptional place in the universe. The words hung in the air between them, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The day began like any other. Hana woke early, her 9-month pregnant body now heavy and awkward. She moved slowly to the kitchen where Tay was preparing breakfast. You should rest more, he said, helping her into a chair. I'm fine, she insisted. The baby is just restless today. Outside their window, the sky had a strange quality. 3 planets were visible, a rare alignment that happened only once every 200 years. The Grand Convergence, as astronomers called it, had been in the news for weeks. It's beautiful, Hana said, looking at the 3 bright points in the morning sky. Tay nodded. A good day for new beginnings. An hour later, Hana felt the first contraction. It was mild, just a tightening sensation. She didn't mention it to Tay, but when the second one came 20 minutes later, stronger than the first, she knew. It's time, she told him. Tay's eyes widened. He had been preparing for this moment for months, but now that it had arrived, he looked terrified. Are you sure? It's 3 weeks early. The baby decides when it's ready, Hana said, wincing as another contraction began. And this one seems to have made up its mind. Tay called the medical center while Hana changed clothes. Their bag had been packed for weeks. Within minutes, their automated car was taking them through the morning traffic of New Seoul. At the medical center, they were expected. Dr. Yoon met them at a private entrance, away from the usual crowds and the few protesters. who still gathered most days. How far apart are the contractions? She asked, helping Hana into a wheelchair. About 15 minutes now, Hana said. They're getting stronger. Dr. Yoon nodded. Let's get you settled. We've prepared the special birthing room as discussed. The room was larger than standard birthing rooms. Medical equipment lined one wall, much of it specialized for Hana's unique case. Another wall had been set up with observation areas behind one-way glass. Who will be watching? Hana asked, noticing. The setup as nurses helped her onto the bed. Just the medical team, Dr. Yoon assured her. Then she hesitated. And one Federation observer, Elder Sen, requested to be present. Director Sun approved it given the special circumstances. Tae frowned. Is that necessary? The Federation has provided some advanced monitoring equipment, Dr. Yoon explained. It may help us ensure everything goes smoothly. Hana nodded her acceptance. At this point, the safety of the birth was her only concern. The next few hours passed in a blur of increasing pain. The contractions grew stronger and closer together. Tae stayed by her side, holding her hand, whispering encouragement. Dr. Yoon checked her progress regularly. You're doing wonderfully, the doctor said. Everything is proceeding normally, just faster than average for a first birth. Through the window, Hana could see the 3 planets still visible in the sky. As her labor intensified, she found herself focusing on them, using them as focal points during contractions. By midday, the room had filled with additional medical staff. Hana noticed movement behind the observation glass. She glimpsed the tall, slender form of Elder Sen standing perfectly still, watching. 6 centimeters dilated, Dr. Yoon announced after checking Hana. Moving faster than we expected. Tae wiped Hana's forehead with a cool cloth. You're doing great, he said. Just like you do everything else. Hana tried to smile, but another contraction took her breath away. This one was different, more intense, spreading through her body like electricity, rather than just pain. The monitors beside the bed began beeping rapidly. Dr. Yoon rushed to check them. What's happening? Tae asked, alarmed. The baby's neural activity is spiking, Dr. Yoon said, studying the displays, and there's unusual energy patterns throughout Hana's body. Behind the glass, Elder Sen moved closer, placing a 6-fingered hand against the window. One of the Federation devices near Hana's bed began emitting a soft blue light. Is the baby in danger? Hana managed to ask between breaths. No, Dr. Yoon said, looking surprised as she read the monitors. In fact, all vital signs are perfect. It's just, the patterns are unlike anything I've seen before. As the grand convergence reached its peak outside, Hana's labor intensified. The contractions came one after another with barely any break between them. Tae held her hand so tightly his knuckles turned white. It's time to push, Dr. Yoon said 3 hours later. With the next contraction, I want you to bear down. Hana nodded, gathering her strength. As the next wave of pain built, she pushed, with all her might. Good, Dr. Yoon encouraged. I can see the head. One more big push. Hana took a deep breath and pushed again as the most powerful contraction yet washed over her. She felt a strange sensation, not just physical but something else, as if energy was flowing through her. The lights in the room flickered. The Federation device pulsed brighter. Behind the glass, Elder Sen made a gesture of what might have been surprise or awe. One more push, Dr. Yoon urged. You're almost there. With a final enormous effort, Hana pushed. The room filled with a strange humming sound. The 3 planets aligned perfectly in the sky outside, and then, suddenly, it was over. The pain stopped. In its place came the most beautiful sound Hana had ever heard, her baby's first cry. It's a girl, Dr. Yoon announced, lifting the infant for Hana and Tae to see. She's perfect. The baby was placed on Hana's chest. Tae leaned, in close, tears streaming down his face. But something was strange. The baby wasn't crying anymore. Instead, her eyes, an impossible shade of violet, were open, looking around the room with unmistakable awareness. That's not normal, one of the nurses whispered. Newborns can't focus their eyes like that. Dr. Yoon checked the baby quickly, listening to her heart, testing her reflexes. All normal, she reported, though her voice held wonder. Except she's already aware, Tae finished, staring at his daughter with a mixture of pride and awe. Hana cradled the baby, overwhelmed, with love. She's beautiful, she whispered. What should we name her? Tae touched the baby's tiny hand. To everyone's surprise, the infant wrapped her fingers around his in a strong grip. Jin, he said. It means bright, or golden in the old language. A bright beginning, Jin, Hana repeated, testing the name. I like it. The baby turned at the sound of her name, violet eyes focusing on her mother's face. A collective gasp went through the room. Behind the glass, Elder Sen made a formal gesture, touching forehead, heart, and then extending both hands toward the baby. The Federation device beside the bed emitted a series of soft tones. The Federation. Representatives wished to convey their congratulations, Ambassador Cho said, stepping forward from where she had been waiting quietly. Elder Sen says this birth marks a significant moment for your species. Tae nodded, as if this confirmed what he already knew. He looked down at his wife and daughter with profound tenderness. Jin isn't just our miracle, he said, his voice carrying through the suddenly silent room. She's the key to proving humanity's exceptional place in the universe. Hana looked up at her husband in shock. What does that mean, Tae? Before he could answer, baby Jin made a soft cooing sound. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. For a moment, it seemed as if Dr. Yoon checked the neural activity monitors and inhaled sharply. These patterns, they're consistent with complex thought, not just reflex or instinct. That's impossible, one of the other doctors said. A newborn brain isn't developed enough for complex thought. Apparently this one is, Dr. Yoon replied. The Federation observers moved closer to the glass, their instruments recording everything. Ambassador Cho's expression showed both wonder and concern. Hana, Tai said softly, remember what I told you about quantum states and consciousness. Jin is showing those patterns already. What took me decades of exposure to develop naturally appeared in her. Hana held her daughter closer, suddenly protective. She's still just a baby. Our baby. Yes, Tae agreed. But also something more. The beginning of something new for all of us. Outside, the grand convergence began to pass. The 3 planets started to move out of alignment. But inside the birthing room, something new had aligned. Something that would change the course of human history forever. Jin looked at her parents with those impossible violet eyes. And for just a moment, Hana could have sworn she smiled. 6 months passed quickly. The Kim family home had changed. The living room now held colorful toys. The spare office had become a nursery with stars projected on the ceiling. But the biggest change was Jin herself. At 6 months old, Jin could already speak in full sentences. She could solve puzzles meant for children 5 times her age. Her violet eyes watched everything with clear understanding. Time for lunch, Hana said, carrying a bowl of soft food to where Jin sat on a playmat. Jin looked up from the block she had arranged in a perfect geometric pattern. Thank you, Mother, she said in a clear voice. Is it sweet potato today? Hana still wasn't used to having actual conversations with her infant daughter. Yes, with a little apple mixed in. Your favorite, Jin smiled. Her teeth had all come in by 3 months, another sign of her accelerated development. Father will be home soon? Yes, he's finishing an important meeting. That meeting was taking place at the World Council headquarters. Tae sat at a large round table with representatives from every global region. Federation Ambassador Cho stood beside him, translating his words for the 3 alien delegates present. The evidence is clear, Tae was saying. Jin's development confirms what the Federation has long suspected. Humans have untapped genetic potential. Potential that is beginning to express itself. And you believe your daughter is just the first? Asked the European representative, an older woman named Director Lee. Yes, Tay replied confidently. The combination of advanced medical treatments and subtle genetic changes from quantum exposure created the right conditions. But others will follow, especially now that we understand the process. The Federation has officially recognized Earth as a keystone species planet, Ambassador Cho added. This designation is rare and significant. What exactly does that mean for us? Asked the African representative. Elder Sen stepped forward. The alien's skin shifted colors as it spoke through its translator. A keystone species shapes the evolution of an entire galactic sector. Your development affects others in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Back at home, Jin was doing something unusual with her blocks. Instead of stacking them, she arranged them in flat patterns that seemed to represent mathematical formulas. What are you making, Jin? Hana asked. It's a model of how thoughts connect, Jin explained, moving a red block to create a new pattern.
See how they flow together? Hana watched in amazement.
At times like this, she remembered that her daughter was not simply advanced, she was something entirely new. The apartment door opened, and Tay entered. Jin's face lit up. Father! She stood and walked steadily to him. She had been walking. Since 4 months old, Tay lifted her into his arms. Hello, my brilliant girl. Did you have a good day with Mother? Yes, Jin replied. I've been thinking about your quantum problem. I think the answer is simpler than you believe. Tay laughed. But Hana could see he took his daughter seriously. Later, after Jin was asleep in her crib, though she needed less sleep than normal, children, Tay and Hana sat on their balcony looking at the night sky. How was the council meeting? Hana asked. They've approved everything, Tay said. The new research center will begin construction next month, and they've officially named us ambassadors for humanity's potential. Hana sighed. That's a heavy title, but an accurate one. Tay took her hand. Jin is proving everything I theorized about quantum consciousness. Her mind works differently than ours. She sees connections we miss. She's still a child, Tay. Our child. Of course, he agreed. But you've seen what she can do. At this rate, by her first birthday she'll have the cognitive abilities of a brilliant adult. Hana couldn't argue with that. Just yesterday, Jin had explained a concept in physics that Hana, despite her medical training, had struggled to understand. The next morning brought exciting news. Ambassador Cho arrived at their apartment early, her face serious but pleased. The Federation Grand Council has made their decision, she announced. Earth has been officially confirmed as a keystone species planet. You're invited to the recognition ceremony next week. This was a tremendous honor. In the 5 years since first contact, humans had learned that the Galactic Federation included over 300 species from across the galaxy. Only 12 had keystone status. What does this mean for Jin? Hana asked, always concerned first for her daughter. Jin will be honored as a catalyst, Ambassador Cho explained, but not expected to take any official role. Infant was trying to communicate something important, until she chooses to do so herself. The ceremony took place in the Great Hall of the Federation Contact Center. Jin wore a special white dress made for the occasion. Despite being only 6 months old, she stood calmly beside her parents as Elder Sen placed a small crystal emblem on her forehead. This child represents the awakening potential of humanity, Elder Sen announced to the gathered officials from around the world. In recognizing Earth as a keystone species, we acknowledge your essential role in the development of this galactic sector. After the ceremony, Federation scientists met with Tay to discuss his pioneering work. For decades, he had been developing theories about combining human adaptability with advanced technology. Now, with Jin as living proof of his concepts, those theories were becoming reality. Your system for enhancing quantum neural connections could revolutionize interspecies communication, said a Federation scientist through a translator. Tay nodded. Jin has already improved on my original designs. Her mind naturally forms the connections I spent years trying to understand. That evening, At a reception in the Kim family's honor, world leaders gathered to celebrate Earth's new status. Jin, who should have been overwhelmed by so much attention, instead moved confidently through the crowd. She spoke clearly with scientists and diplomats, amazing everyone with her intelligence and poise. "It's almost unbelievable," Dr. Yoon said to Hana as they watched Jin explaining something to a group of fascinated physicists. "6 months ago I delivered her, and now look at her." "Sometimes I wonder if I'm dreaming," Hana admitted. "You're not dreaming," said a voice behind them. It was Elder Sen. "Your daughter is special but not unique. She is the first expression of what your species will become." "And what is that exactly?" Hana asked. "A bridge," Elder Sen replied, "between what is and what could be, between the physical and the quantum realms of existence." Later that night, as they prepared for bed, Hana found Jin sitting by her bedroom window looking at the stars. "Time for sleep, little one," Hana said. Jin turned those remarkable violet eyes toward her mother. "The stars are calling us, Mother. Not now, but soon." "What do you mean?" "Humans belong among the stars," Jin said simply. "Father knows this. It's why he worked so hard for so long." Hana sat beside her daughter on the window seat. "Is that what you want? To go to the stars?" Jin nodded. "But not yet. First we need to prepare. Earth needs to heal completely. People need to understand their potential." It was strange hearing such thoughts from a child so young, yet Hana had grown accustomed to Jin's wisdom. The next morning, they attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Quantum Consciousness Research Center. Jin stood between her parents as Tae addressed the crowd. "Humanity stands at a crossroads," he said, his voice strong and clear. "Through the combination of our innate adaptability and advanced technology, we are ready to take our place in the greater galactic community." As he spoke, Jin reached toward the holographic star map on display, her tiny fingers seeming to grasp at distant suns. "What do you see there?" Hana asked her quietly. "Our future," Jin replied. "There's so much waiting for us, Mother. So many wonders." Federation representatives stood nearby, watching with interest. One of them approached after the ceremony. "Your daughter speaks of the future with unusual clarity," the alien said through its translator. "We have seen this pattern before, in other species at the moment of their ascension." "Ascension?" Hana repeated. "The transition from one level of existence to another," the representative explained. "It is rare, but significant when it occurs." That evening, a report came from a research station on Mars. Strange energy patterns had been detected, similar to those recorded during Jin's birth. 2 more children had been born, showing the same accelerated development as Jin. "It's happening already," Tae said, reading the report with excitement. "The change is spreading faster than I predicted." Hana watched Jin playing with a complex puzzle, solving it in seconds. "Will they all be like her?" "Similar, but each unique," Tae said. "Jin is special because she was first, but she won't be alone." Jin looked up as if hearing her name. "The others will come quickly now," she said. "Soon there will be many of us." "And then what?" Hana asked. Jin smiled. "Then we help humanity reach the stars, not as visitors or explorers, but as equals, to the oldest species in the galaxy." Her violet eyes shined with certainty. "That's why we're here, to help everyone see what's possible." Tae put his arm around Hana's shoulders as they watched their extraordinary daughter. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. "Jin is showing us the way forward." Outside, the night sky filled with stars seemed somehow closer, more accessible than ever before. And somewhere among those stars, other civilizations waited to welcome humanity into a larger community, a humanity forever changed by one remarkable child who bridged the gap between what was and what could be.